evening, Jelly Beans. This is Jewelry Jelly with Catherine and George Washing Machine. Whoop! Dropped one of my toy things that I was making. I don't know if you've seen the Make It minis, but this is one of the teapots. And it turns out it works very well for doll purposes. It's the cat teapot. Anyways, we are going to get back into playing Tyrion Cuthbert. So, we had a little bit of a bombshell dropped last time. Just to get you guys back onto track. We realized in the last episode that there was only one person who could have changed the voice parameters in the Arcane constructs, and it was the headmaster of the academy. So let's just see what happens now that he's on the stand, shall we? Now then, to clear the air, I suppose I should give my testimony on what happened that day. Witness testimony. That day I had a meeting scheduled with a professor at noon. She showed up at the expected time and we discussed various administrative matters. Our meeting went on for an hour, after which she left to prepare for her next class. Despite our many disagreements, we still knew how to be civil with one another. After all, I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her. Oh, really? I just can't see it. He seems like such a nice person. Is he really the person we're looking for? He has to be. No one else could have orchestrated this entire plot. You just need to find out how. And why. Alright. Let me see if I have something in the evidence. Let's see. There is... Let's see. Well, we could always present Bellwether's reputation and see what happens. But let me see if I can find... Okay, we'll see this. Objection! Nope. I fail to see how that proves anything, Mr. Cuthbert. Oh, I guess you're right. Steelwind's deduction, constructs logic. Bellwether's plan. There, that is the evidence. House Frege was planning to fire Headmaster Theodore Redmond and replace him with Catherine Bellwether. Objection! Redmond, did you really hold no animosity towards Professor Bellwether? Of course not. I did have strong opinions about her, methods of teaching, but I always remained professional. We both did. Frankly, I find that hard to believe. In fact, I think you might have had a very good reason to murder the professor, considering that she was going to take your job. What? So you knew about that. I'm sorry, but I don't follow. Just how was the professor going to take the headmaster's job? According to Miriam Frege, Catherine Bellwether was currying favor with the noble families. In fact, there was a plan to oust Mr. Redmond and appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster of the academy. What? But in any case, I doubt that the headmaster had any idea of this until now. I'd like to remind the court of the witness's reaction just now. He said, "So you knew about that." His reaction was one of surprise. But he wasn't surprised by this information. He was surprised that I knew this information. That's... Please, dear Arya. I may be a frail old man, but I'm perfectly capable of defending myself. Oh boy. If you have an explanation, Mr. Redmond, then by all means, I'd love to hear it. Gladly. It is true that I knew about the Frega's plot beforehand, but I had only just learned about it. On the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as the headmaster, and replace the staff with her arcane constructs. Now you might say that this would have given me the perfect motive to murder the professor. However, the supposed murder weapon was stolen from Ms. Frege. This happened weeks before the murder and my discovery of the professor's treachery. I had no knowledge of their plan before she told me, and therefore, I wouldn't have known to steal Ms. Frege's weapon in an attempt to frame her. Are you satisfied now, Mr. Cuthbert? There is no way that the headmaster could have come up with this plan. If he really did do this, that means he stole the rapier too, right? Most likely. His alibi makes sense. He couldn't have planned this whole thing unless he knew about Bellwether's plans. That would mean he knew about this weeks ago. But how do you even find out? The best way to tell a convincing lie is to leave a lot of truths and only change one detail. Maybe Bellwether did tell him, but she actually told him weeks ago. The question is, how do you prove that? Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. On the day of the murder, let's see. Okay, a few weeks ago. Objection! Redmond, you keep saying that you didn't know about Bellwether's plot before yesterday. Do you still plan on standing behind that claim? Of course I am, because it's the truth. I'm sorry, Redmond, but you should really close your doors during your meetings. What? Did someone see? It is true that Bellwether revealed her plan to you during one of your meetings. In fact, Jan Hughes happened to overhear that same meeting. But he only overheard the part where the staff would be replaced. And that's the strangest part, Redmond. According to Mr. Hughes, this meeting occurred weeks ago. You can't accuse the headmaster of perjury based on a rumor. Everything you've just said is based on second-hand information. Mr. Hughes distinctly overheard that the staff would be replaced with arcane constructs. That is too specific and too accurate to assume that he misheard a different conversation. The professor probably only revealed her plan for the arcane constructs. That still doesn't prove that he knew about her treachery beforehand. Professor Bellwether had no authority over the cleaning staff's employment. It wouldn't make sense for her to just reveal her plan for the arcane constructs. That would only make sense if he knew that Bellwether would be taking his job. So, tell me one thing, Redmond. Why did you find the need to lie about this? Is it because you saw a need to protect yourself from my accusations? Redmond, I asked you a question. Did you murder Catherine Bellwether? Oh boy. What a fine mess this is. I'm not done. Not yet. Headmaster? So, you truly plan on pushing this, are you? Well, your thesis sounded promising, Mr. Cuthbert, but I believe your arguments could use a little work. Okay. You think I killed Catherine Bellwether? Me? I am an elderly man in his late 80s. I was alone and had nothing to overpower Bellwether with. I can barely walk, much less wield a rapier. Well, of course. You had a convenient weapon right there. But you and Bellwether weren't the only people in that room, were you? You needed the arcane construct to carry Bellwether's body. That means that the construct would have already been in your office. And with your privileges, you could have easily programmed the construct to stab Bellwether for you. Even so, think about what would have transpired afterwards. Recall Ms. Steelwind's timeline of Bellwether's witnesses. With your theory, the construct would have spent more than an hour in the library. Having it there would have risked my so-called ruse from being discovered. Luckily, Lady Frege can't tell night from day. I wouldn't have the construct linger around the library. So, let's see. Use this against claims that contradict a piece of evidence. Use this against claims that contradict thoughts seen through the eye. Use this against claims that contradict the displayed emotion. So let's see. My intuition. The timing deduced from Ms. Frega's testimony is predicated on one thing. She saw Ms. Bellwether exit your office after your meeting. However, if we assume that you're lying about when this meeting ended, your entire argument falls apart. Ms. Frega would have encountered Bellwether after her death at 2:01 p.m. Ms. Frega wouldn't have made a mistake like that. Ms. Frega thought it was morning when she saw Bellwether. She can't reliably tell the time. Then what about where the rapier was placed? If I really was the murderer, then that would mean I planted the weapon in young Wallace's locker. Several of the students had lockers there that I had access to. I wouldn't have placed incriminating evidence in that locker. Wallace is one of my prized students. If I had to frame anyone, he would be the last person I chose. You're right, Mr. Redmond. You wouldn't try to frame Wallace, but you would try to frame Miriam Frega. It would have been the perfect act of revenge, wouldn't it? You murder your treacherous coworker and frame the daughter of the family that helped her. But something went wrong, didn't it, Redmond? The labels on Wallace's locker and Miriam's locker were switched. Anyone who saw that would have easily mixed them up. I am the headmaster of the Imperial Academy. I have records of all the students' lockers and where they're located. There's no reason I would make a mistake like that. If I truly planned this, I would have known where Wallace's locker was. A simple change in labels wouldn't have led me to make such a careless mistake like that. But it wasn't you, was it? Your arcane construct was the one who planted the rapier in the locker. I bet you commanded it to place this rapier in the locker of Miriam Frega, but it saw the ID number on Wallace's locker and assumed that it was Miriam's. This is... Redmond begins desperately stammering, looking for something to say. Ms. Steelwind, say something. What? Mr. Cuthbert, your theory may be plausible, but there's no evidence to support it. Ha! That's right. You don't have any proof, do you? There's no evidence of my orders. Saying that I could have committed the murder isn't the same as proving I did it. Oh yeah? Your arcane construct is still in the locker room where it planted the rapier. All we have to do is take a look inside it and we'll see the blood inside. Is that so, Mr. Cuthbert? What? Why does he still look so confident? No, Mr. Cuthbert, I already checked the inside of that construct during my investigation. The interior was completely clean. What? The construct's primary function is to assist and clean, dear Tyrion. They have a function that allows them to clean themselves inside and out. Well, we can still look at its command history, right? Think about it, Mr. Cuthbert. Do you honestly think that the murderer would leave behind evidence like that? I'm sure that whoever orchestrated this plot, they ordered the construct to wipe its logs when it was finished. No. That's right, Mr. Cuthbert. Your case against me is theoretical at best, but I suppose I can still give you marks for trying. Damn it, he thought of everything. Was he seriously able to get rid of all the evidence? You're running out of options, but you still have one tool left. Ha! It's unbecoming to glare like that, young Tyrion. He's doing it again. Bring yourself back to that moment with Garrick Pierce. Think about what's at stake for Wallace, just like you did with Celeste. His life and his future are in your hands.
Naught can remain concealed.
The Empowered Eye. You activated the Empowered Eye again. Redmond did a good job of covering his tracks, but there has to be something that he forgot to get rid of. The construct's orders were clear. Plant the body in Lecture Hall 2B, and then plant the evidence in Frega's locker. It was supposed to head to the storage room afterwards. What happened? Interesting. The construct wasn't supposed to be in the locker room? Why was the construct in the locker room, though? It shouldn't have been there if it had followed my orders. No matter, it wiped its locks. They have nothing on me. So, he did order it to wipe its locks. In order to cover all of its tracks. It probably would have done this last. Wait. He ordered the construct to go to the storage room? Okay. It would have done that after it was finished planting evidence in the locker room. But we found it in the locker room. What stopped the construct from leaving the locker room? No, that's not right. That would have been it. Right. The body was probably reported earlier than Redmond expected. This means he probably started the lockdown before the construct was finished in the locker room. How did the lockdown affect the construct's actions? But does this change anything? Right. The series of commands would have been interrupted. Wait a minute. Constructs execute a series of commands in the order they are given. But let's say one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it will deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it will stop executing the series altogether. So if a task in a series of commands is impossible, then that command will interrupt the entire series. The construct's final command was to wipe its memory. But if its orders were interrupted by the lockdown, then... Ms. Steelwind, I have nothing more to ask this witness. What? You're not giving up, are you? Do you even have to ask? Yeah, I thought so. But how are you going to prove he did it if he's not testifying? Don't worry, the next witness's testimony will be all I need. Next witness? That look on your face isn't one of defeat. Just what are you planning? Ha! It's nothing but desperate bravado. Now, if you'll excuse me. You've let your quarry get away, Mr. Cuthbert. I hope you know what you're doing. I do, Ms. Steelwind. First, I'd like for the Inquisition to bring in the Arcane construct in the Academy's locker room. We've already established that the murderer could have wiped its history. Please, just humor me for a second, Ms. Steelwind. Very well. Bailiff, please relay Mr. Cuthbert's request to Commander White. Well, here's your construct. I hope you know what you're doing, Mr. Cuthbert. Construct. What are your orders? Please recite your command history. Reporting. Command 1, stand by in Headmaster's office. Command 2, await focal signal. Attack! From Theodore Redmond. You hear Redmond stand up from the gallery. Seeing this, the prosecutor watches him and carefully clutches the handle of her cane. Command 3, treat Catherine Bellwether as a hostile entity and neutralize... Construct, wipe your... Hold! Before he can finish his sentence, the prosecutor points her cane at the headmaster. Magical energy shoots from it and collides directly with him. The magic wreaths around his body and stops him from moving. He's clearly trying to struggle against it, but it looks like he can't even move his mouth. Miss Steelwind! Excuse the interruption. Please continue. Command 4, await vocal signal, leave. From Theodore Redmond. Command 5, move to classroom 2B, reply to any inquiries with voice line number 3. Command 6, remove Catherine Bellwether from interior frame and place on floor. Thank you, Construct. You can stop now. I think we all know the rest. But just to be clear, who gave you this series of commands? Commands were provided by Headmaster Theodore Redmond. How? How? I ordered the construct to wipe its command history. Mr. Redmond, constructs don't follow the same logic that humans do. They're prone to error when their commands are impossible to execute. Impossible? In what way were my commands impossible? You were the one that made it impossible. You activated the lockdown system. The Lockdown? The body was found earlier than you'd like. You had no choice but to immediately activate the lockdown system when it was reported. However, the construct was still in the locker room when you did this. So that's why it was there. The construct finished its tasks in the locker room, but then it tried to follow your next command. It tried to move to the storage room, but it was prevented from doing so. Completion of that command was impossible. So, the series of commands was stopped before it wiped its history. You little... Theodore Redmond, you ordered your construct to murder Catherine Bellwether. Then you had it place the murder weapon in a locker to frame Miriam Frege. And we have your construct's testimony to prove it. And that's checkmate. I can't believe it. How could you do something like this, Headmaster? She was going to take everything from me. My position, my academy, my students. Everything would be gone. It was going to be stolen by her and the Fregas. Why didn't you say anything to me? I could have... Don't you dare stand there and act ignorant, Lady Steelwind. Do you think the Fregas acted alone? Your father was a part of this plot, too. What? I have nothing to say to you. I thought you were different. I listened to your lies about societal reform. In the end, you were just like the rest of the aristocracy. By the skilled lord, what have I done? I was even willing to sacrifice poor Wallace. I can't believe Why did I listen? Why did I do this? It appears we have a full confession. The court sees no reason to prolong this any further. Bailiff, please escort the witness to a holding cell. And we had that glitch. Mr. Cuthbert, you really did it! It feels amazing, right? Like a big weight being lifted from your shoulders. It does, but I can't believe the headmaster was the one who did this. Right. Despite everything Redmond did, he was the one that allowed Wallace to pursue his dreams. I'm sorry. I'm sure this is bittersweet for you. What am I going to do now? Excuse me. Headmaster Redmond was the only reason I could even attend the academy. With him gone? Come on, don't think like that. You got acquitted. I'm sure it'll all work out. You want to agree, but necromancy is basically taboo. Without Redmond's support, there aren't many places he could learn it legitimately. And then there's the Imperial Academy. Hey, don't you get all sad on me too. Sorry, I was just thinking. With Redmond gone, the Fregas will probably just appoint another sycophant as the headmaster. Valentina, Valerie, and Jan, they're all going to lose their jobs. Come on, you found the truth, and you put a murderer behind bars. You saved Wallace. She's right. As you start to exit the courtroom, you're greeted by Ms. Tamora. Was she in the gallery this entire time? At the end of the day, you saved Wallace from a wrongful conviction. You should be proud of yourself for that. I suppose you're right. Maybe I am just overthinking things. But the doubt still lingers in your mind. Now come on, I'm taking Wallace to that restaurant we went to last time. Do you remember how much that place cost? Don't worry, I have plenty of gold. Am I the only one on this team not making any gold? Why don't you meet us there, Celeste? I need to talk with Tyrion for a moment. Alright, let's go, Wallace. Okay. Oh, he's blushing! You activated the Empowered Eye again, didn't you? She doesn't appear to be praising you. I did. I didn't really have a choice. The Eye of Horus is a powerful tool, Tyrion. But that's twice now that you've used the Empower Eye to get out of a tough spot. You can't keep relying on it if you want to grow as an attorney. One day, you'll find a witness that the Empowered Eye won't work on. It's worked for me this far, though. But I suppose you're right. I'll try to rely on it less next time. And that marked the end of another case in my career as a defense attorney. Another life saved, and another murderer brought to justice. But I still couldn't shake this feeling of uneasiness. Was it guilt for what would happen to the faculty staff? Or was it something else? Alright, so that is the end of episode 2. Man, Steelwind has been talking with a perp for hours. What's there to even ask at this point? Turns out she doesn't trust his testimony. Something about his memories not matching up with the crime scene. You don't think he has mage blight, does he? No, it's not that. She found that damned symbol etched into his desk. Or what did she call it? The purple mark? Oh, for the love of not this again. Look, if the little lady wants to chase the boogeyman, just let her. At least this time she's doing it personally instead of dragging us into it. Cast sleep. Hey! What's up with... Who did this to your desk? What has gotten into you? I've already admitted to everything. What more could you possibly want from me? Where did this graffiti come from? What is this symbol? What is the purple mark? I don't know. A student must have done it at some point. Think very hard, Headmaster. When did you receive this purple symbol? Focus on the moment you received this. Wait a minute. I remember it now. But how? Lady Steelwind? Lady Steelwind! Arya, what happened? Are you okay? That was close. My elation over meeting him almost made me forget. Eris, what are you doing here? Why? Wait, I remember now. It was you. You put those ideas into my mind. You're the one who told me to murder Bellwether. Oh, you humans never fail to amuse me. I didn't make you do anything. Everything you did that day, all the planning, all the preparation, that came from your own mind. And I have to say I was quite entertained with the scheme you came up with. Why, you even broke into Miriam's room. I didn't know you had it in you, old man. You made me forget about our conversation. But how? Illusions can't affect the mind. Magic can't affect the mind. It's a shame, though. I would have much rather turned Wallace into the antagonist of this chapter. Could you imagine if he turned? It would have been spectacular. Armies of the undead running rampant in the streets. But alas, even I couldn't corrupt his pure soul. Answer me. Who are you? What are you? Who am I? I'm the Lord of the Sixth Circle. Ah! Okay. Alright, so we are going to go right into case 3 then. The origin of Horus. The origins of Horus, I should say. I'm sorry, Tyrion. There were so many things that I wanted to tell you. So many things that I wanted to show you. But I'm afraid that I can't do that now. I need you to be strong now. This world is bleak, merciless, and unforgiving. But I've seen you. I know how bright the light within you is. Use my eyes. Peer beyond the divine gate, as I once did. Use it to reclaim the future. Episode 3, The Origins of Horus. Preposterous! Completely and utterly preposterous! Is something wrong, Lord Von Sanctus? You filthy rat! You cheated, didn't you? That's right, you're just a cheat and a charlatan. Name, Lloyd Von Sanctus, nobleman. Do you have any evidence to prove that ridiculous claim? I mastered chess before you could crawl out of whatever rat hole you came from. Do you honestly expect anyone to believe that you could defeat me? Honestly, I'm just as disappointed as you are. I was expecting more of a challenge from House Von Sanctus. But I suppose all the gold in the world can't buy you a modicum of skill. You little upstart! Ahem. Von Sanctus's acquaintance clears his throat and gestures subtly to the crowd of spectators. Everyone's attention is on him. and you can see the crowd muttering amongst themselves. His undignified behavior probably isn't doing any favors for his public image. Realizing himself, he tries to regain his composure. It's preposterous. He walks away, muttering the word preposterous under his breath a few more times. It sounds like he's trying to reassure himself more than anyone else. So, that was something. Yeah, I knew that he'd get angry, but I didn't expect him to make a scene like that. Well, you did insult him. Not to say that he didn't deserve it. Come on, I love seeing these conceited nobles lose their minds when I beat them. It's half of the fun of playing these tournaments. Wow, where's this confidence when we're in the courthouse? Court cases are different. I have to deal with real-world elements during a trial, and that includes Prosecutor Steelwind. Prosecutor Steelwind, huh? I wonder if she plays chess. Now there's a thought. You wonder if she'd be willing to play against you sometime. She can't be any worse than these pampered nobles. Anyways, we should celebrate somewhere in town. Even if he was a pushover, you just beat one of the top-ranked chess players in the kingdom. To be honest, you had your reservations about returning to the city of Oranax. If you weren't facing one of the 4 pillars, you would have never come back here. You'd rather leave the city as soon as possible. I saw a cafe while we were walking around. The food smelled great. I'd really like to go there. We could always go to one of the cafes in the capital. There are plenty of places to choose from there. Trust me, I've traveled around the world. There's nothing better than food from a thriving port city. Alright, I suppose there's no harm in staying a little longer. She does have a point. The city streets seem livelier than when you last saw them. You see a lot of businesses that weren't here before, and they all seem to be very well off. Despite being a port city, Oranax used to look like a ghost town. Has the local nobility been investing in the city? You find that possibility very hard to believe. You arrive at the cafe that Celeste told you about. As you enter, you're struck by a powerful aroma of freshly baked pastries and coffee. The scent of the baked goods swirls around you. You take a moment to inhale the enticing smells. You have to admit that it's making you very hungry. So you seek to enter the domain of the Deathbringer songstress. Well, if glory is what you seek, then look no further. For you stand before Mosorika Tudor, Dark Lord of Oranax. As you head further into the cafe, you're approached by a familiar face. Mosorika Tudor, occupation merchant. Huh, Rika, is that you? Huh, it appears that my reputation precedes me. How good of you to... Wait, you're Tyrion? You're back! Hi. Why didn't you tell anyone that you were back in town? Do you have any idea how worried we've all been? Do you two know each other? Right. Celeste, this is Mosorika Tudor. I was friends with her when I lived here many years ago. Wait, you used to live here? Yeah, Oranax is actually the town I grew up in. What? But you were in such a hurry to leave before. You came here to eat, right? If you're still hungry, I can bring you some of our best dishes on the house. No, I couldn't possibly. Come on, don't be like that. It's been years since I've seen you. And you know how good my food is. Okay, but only for a little while. Rika sets a table for the 3 of you and calls over a waiter. You all place your orders. Now, tell me everything. I want to know all about what you've been doing since you left. This table looks really well made. You like it? I commissioned a local carpenter to have my tables custom made. It was probably worth it. They fit with the humble and rustic vibe you've got going on here. There are some barrels stacked in the corner here. I wonder what's inside. Wait, Rika, you wouldn't happen to have lotus juice, would you? Lotus juice? What's that? Never mind. What happened to the lotus juice that you received from Miriam? I drank all of it. Already? It hasn't even been a month. Rika seems to have decorated the entire cafe with several plants and flowers. The greens add a fresh and earthy ambiance to the restaurant. There are artificer lights hanging from the ceiling. Your business must be doing pretty well if you can afford artificery like this. That's just one of the benefits I get from working with the Dracogen Trading Company. Most of the merchants equip all of their businesses with artificery networks now. Are you the owner of this cafe, Rika? You always spoke about opening one when we were kids. Yep, and it's all thanks to the Dracogen Trading Company. The company's owner invested in my business idea after trying my food. Because of him, I was able to open up here, just like I've always dreamed. Dracogen Trading Company? I don't think I've heard of them. They're pretty small right now, and they're only operating in Oranax. But I hear that they're planning to expand their operations throughout Wyverngard. But I would have thought that Lord Von Sanctus would have weeded out any competition. After all, he owns one of the largest businesses in the kingdom. Lord Von Sanctus, isn't he that pompous noble that I beat in the chess tournament this morning? Wait, that was you? I didn't even know he was a businessman. Von Sanctus Industries invented those arcane constructs that we saw at the Imperial Academy. How do you not know about these things? You practically fight against nobles for a living. Maybe you should start reading more about national politics. So, are you going to introduce us? Right. This is Celeste McCoy. She's my bodyguard. Bodyguard? And Celeste, this is... as if I need such introductions. I am Musarika Tudor, Dark Lord of Oranax, High Archmagi of the Cadmium Flames, and the proud proprietor of this cafe. Oh, okay. I was friends with her when I used to live here. She's a little eccentric, but she's a good person at heart. Hey! She's also a common folk mage like you. So you come from the same humble beginnings that I do. Which spells have you mastered? I haven't really mastered any of them. I know about 7 spells, though. 7? That's about almost 4 times the amount that I know. She's learned even more spells? She's been picking them up rather quickly. I've been usurped. Look at you, Mr. Big Shot. You're wearing a suit now, and you even have a bodyguard. Did you get an office job in the big city? Something like that. I'm actually a defense attorney now. A defense attorney? I see. Is that why you left town with that scary lady? Scary lady? Are you talking about Ruby? Ms. Tamora adopted me when my mother passed several years ago. After that, she began training me to become an attorney like her. Wait, you've been studying to be an attorney since you were a kid? Well, I guess that explains why you're so young for a lawyer, said the 19-year-old mercenary. Yeah, I guess you got me there. Is it just me, or does the city look less depressing than the before? Oh, right, you left the city before the new merchants appeared. New merchants? Like from a merchant's guild? Yeah, the Dracogen Trading Company was one of the first ones. They started operating here and bought the Arcane Refinery a few years ago. After that, merchants from all over Wyverngard started coming here. Well, being based in a port city would definitely give them an edge. And their presence has really helped the city's economy. They aren't owned by the nobility, and they pay their employees a lot more than Von Sanctus does. It's really improved the quality of life for the people here. I doubt Von Sanctus appreciates the competition, though. There's even talk about forming employee-run unions. Oh, Von Sanctus definitely won't appreciate that. So, you still play chess? Yeah, I'm nationally ranked, too. I heard that an upstart commoner defeated Lord Von Sanctus at a tournament this morning. But I had no idea they were talking about you. Upstart commoner? The name suits you, Tyrion. Hey, do you still do that thing when you play? No. What thing? Nothing. She's not talking about anything. Wait, you're actually embarrassed about it? When we were kids, you did even more than I did. What? What did he used to do? Why don't you show her, Tyrion? I'd rather not. Come on, show us, Tyrion. The thing. I think I'm a little too old for this. You're never too old to tap into your inner Junie. Do it, Tyrion. Yeah, do it. The two of them begin chanting, trying to pressure you. It draws the attention of the other patrons in the cafe. They don't seem to care about the confused looks that they're getting. It seems that you don't have a choice. You take in a deep breath. Those who stand in the shadows, those who fear the light of divinity, your Imperials will fall, and your armies will perish. Kneel and cower before the divine gaze of the Eye of Horus. They're trying their hardest to contain their laughter. Well, that's why I don't do it anymore. No, that was great. It was really cool, Tyrion. Her poorly contained laughs are coming out between each word. And why are you laughing? You were just doing it a moment ago. Yeah, but she owns it. You used to say something else before, too. I won't let anyone stand in my way, even if they're a man, king, or god. Yeah, that's it. He still says that sometimes. Oh, looks like our order is here. A waiter brings in the lunch special for each of you. The enticing aroma of the meals makes you salivate a little. You gladly devour the meal. Rika's cooking is just as delicious as you remembered. You spend some more time catching up with her while you finish your meal. As your conversation continues, you and Celeste regale her with stories of your past court cases. No, really? Yep, it turned out that it was the headmaster the entire time. Wow, I would have never figured that out. How did you know Tyrion? Maybe he saw it with his Eye of Horus. You nearly choke on your drink before you realize what she's actually referring to. But wow, I can't believe it. I never thought court cases could be that dramatic. You finish your meal as you continue to tell Rika more about your cases. It's nice being able to talk with her again. You tried so hard to leave everything behind after what happened, but you're happy that she seems to be doing well. Well, it's been nice catching up with you, Rika, but I think it's time for us to get going. What? But we just got here. Aww. It's okay. I'm sure you're pretty busy nowadays. I won't keep you any longer. But be sure to write, okay? Don't just go and disappear like last time. Yeah, I'll stay in touch. You'd better. You exit the cafe and make your way to the local Merchants Guild to rent a carriage. The city streets seem a bit more crowded than usual. It's a little difficult to make your way through them. Hey, Tyrion? Yeah? Celeste is fidgeting with her hands. She looks like she wants to say something, but every time she starts to speak, she quickly stops herself. Oh boy, she's jealous! This happens a few more times before she seems to give up. Never mind. It's nothing. Okay? You both continue to walk silently as you make your way to the Merchants Guild. As you make your way there, the streets become more and more crowded. You hope the traffic won't interfere with the ride home. Hi, could we rent a carriage for travel to Rathholm? Sorry, but travel outside the city is temporarily closed. What? Why? Haven't you heard? The Knights of the Kingsguard have locked down the city. They set up a blockade and everything. Check the city gates if you don't believe me. As you arrive at the city gates, you see the blockade that the merchant was talking about. A crowd of disgruntled townsfolk are angrily shouting at the knights stationed there. This is outrageous! How long do you plan on keeping us here? Sorry, but we have our orders. We can't let anyone outside of the city until our investigation is complete. There's an investigation? Did something happen? Can you at least tell us what's going on? Why is the entire city being blockaded? Sorry, sir. We're not allowed to release that information. You'll just have to make other arrangements while we sort this out. Actually, I haven't seen you two around before. I'll need to take down your names and occupations for our records. What? Why? It's fine, Celeste. We're better off just cooperating with them. It's an invasion of privacy, but you'd rather not resist orders from the Kingsguard. I'm Tyrion Cuthbert. I'm a defense attorney. Fine. I'm Celeste McCoy, bodyguard. Thanks. You look over to the other Kingsguard. They seem to be taking notes of the people here, too. They must be making a list of everyone inside the city. But for what reason? Oranax's blockade has been added to your notes. A blockade has been created around the city of Oranax. This blockade is preventing anyone from leaving or entering the city. The Kingsguard have taken careful note of everyone that is currently contained within the blockade. I have an important engagement tomorrow. What am I supposed to do now? This can't possibly be legal. The townsfolk continue shouting at the knights, but it's clear they won't be budging anytime soon. Ugh, what do we do now? You notice that it's starting to get late. We don't know how long the city will be blockaded. We should find a place to stay overnight, just in case. Oh, excuse me. You walk into a nearby tavern and see it absolutely crowded with patrons. Looks like everyone else had the same idea. Hey, welcome to the Aegwin Tavern. What can I do for you? Could we get 2 rooms for the night? Sorry, I can't even spare 1 room. We're completely full with the blockade and all. Wait, let me take care of this. Celeste takes out a large pouch of gold and plops it on the innkeeper's desk. Well, would you look at that? One of our rooms just opened up. Only one? Hey, the entire city's locked down. Even with your gold, that's the best I can do for you. What? Embarrassed to share a room with me, Tyrion? No, it's just... You realize that she's just teasing you like she usually does. Best not to give it any mind. Well, it's better than nothing. So, how should we... Oh, I was just kidding before. You can have the bed. I'll just sleep on the floor. What? I can't just let you... Please, we may both be commoners, but you live a cushy life in the city. I'm a mercenary. I've lived on the road for years. I sleep like this all the time. She's got you there. Alright, but tell me if you change your mind. Yeah. I was just wondering if this was going to end up a situation like in Slayers when both Lena and Gowry slept on the floor. Hey, I didn't see you there. I was just walk past him. What? Hey, watch it! Quit shoving me! Wait, whoa! Holy crap! Pull me up! I can't hold on for much longer! Ah, you idiot! What are you doing? What? Grab his arm and pull him up. Ah! My hand! What the hell are you doing? Your grip is too tight. Stop that! Ah! Wait! I can still... No! What happened? I should have been able to. By the Skilled Lord, he fell in. No. I can use this. That's right. I can still make this look like it was all his fault. Okay, so I guess that's what's going to happen. You find yourself falling into a nightmare. Tyrion, I'm so sorry. I can't believe they made you watch. Are you okay? Right, of course not. Are you going to keep fighting them? Your voice is quiet. Your question barely comes out as a whisper. What? Are you going to keep fighting the nobility? I don't know if I can anymore. Today, they showed me what they're truly capable of. I was naive. I thought that the truth would prevail, but I'm only one person. I can't do this alone anymore. So you're just going to give up? You're the only one who will fight against them. If you're just going to give up, then was my mother's death truly pointless? I'm sorry. Teach me how to be like you. What? You said that you can't do this alone anymore, right? So, teach me how to be a defense attorney. I can help you. We can fight them together. Tyrion, you're just a child. I can't just... Miss Tamora, please. I don't have anything left. Please, just take me away from here. You clutch your hand tightly, feeling the fading warmth of the final message that your mother left for you. It's the last comforting memory you'll have of her. It's a memory that you'll never experience again. Mom. You're startled awake. After some confusion, you realize that it was all a dream. You didn't have any trouble falling asleep, but your slumber was less than restful. It's been a while since you've remembered that day. That's all the more reason to leave the city as soon as possible. Celeste, are you up? Huh? Celeste was wistfully staring out of the window, watching the rain. Her head whips towards you when she realizes that you're awake. Are you okay? What's wrong? Nothing. It's nothing. He wasn't awake, was he? She doesn't seem keen on sharing. It'd be best not to pry. Anyways, do you know if the city is still under lockdown? I haven't checked yet. I was waiting for you to wake up. You go outside and check the city gates. The blockade still hasn't disappeared. In fact, it looks like it's been fortified with even more knights. Looks like we can't leave yet. They've even doubled down on the guards. What's going on here? Tyrion! You spot Rika in the distance as she calls out to you. As soon as she sees you, she breaks out into a full sprint towards you. She looks exhausted. Has she been looking for you in the rain? Tyrion, it's terrible! There was an accident at the Arcane refinery last night. One of my friends who worked there, he fell into a vat of chemicals. He's dead. Oh, Rika, I'm so sorry. If there's anything I can do... Lord von Sanctus is blaming the Dracogen Trading Company. He's trying to charge the owner with criminal negligence. As the lord of this region, von Sanctus would have a lot of leverage in a legal battle like this. He must be using this accident as an opportunity to joust Dracogen from his territory. Tyrion, you're a lawyer, aren't you? Can you help them? I don't think I can. What? But... Rika, I specialize in homicide cases, and most of my clients are mages who've been charged with murder. I've never even tried a case like this before. There isn't any magic involved, and there's no killer. Don't worry, I'm sure that the Dracogen Trading Company knows plenty of qualified attorneys that can help. I'm not so sure about that. Think about it. A lord from one of the 4 pillar families is pressing those charges. Do you honestly think anyone else will try to fight them on this? She has a point. There aren't many attorneys who will go against the nobility under any circumstances. The only ones who will do that are you and Ms. Tomora. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Really? But please, don't get your hopes up. I have very little information to work with right now. And to be perfectly honest, I'm really out of my element. That's okay. I'm sure that Mr. Dracogen will take any help he can get. Mr. Dracogen? He's the owner of the Dracogen Trading Company. He should be at the old Arcane refinery right now. That must be the scene of the accident, too. It would probably be best to start your investigation there. I've been away from the shop for too long, so I can't come with you. But drop by the cafe if there's anything I can do for help. You follow Rika's directions and move through the city's industrial district. It reminds you of your childhood, back when you couldn't control the Eye of Horus. You always avoided this part of the city. It was always covered with an overwhelming fog of misery and fatigue. However, you feel less of that now. Is it because you have more control over your powers? Or has something else changed? Alright, we're here. You arrive at the refinery and see that there aren't many people around. The few people you do see appear to be from the City Watch. Operations must have been halted after the accident. Wow, so this is an Arcane refinery. I always saw this place as a child, but I never really understood what they do here. Those machines refine the arcane crystals that are used in artificery. Those crystals are used as a power source for conducting magical energy. You look around and spot an especially frustrated individual. He seems to stand out from the knights and cleaning staff. Could he be the guildmaster Rika spoke of? He takes notice of you as you head further into the refinery. Hello there. You must be the attorney that Ms. Tudor spoke about. I am. I take it that you're the guildmaster of the Dracogen Trading Company? Yes. My name is Stefanik Dracogen. I'm pleased to make your acquaintance. I really appreciate you lending your aid in this matter. I already told Rika this, but I've never tried a civil case before. I would need to learn more about what happened before I can decide whether or not I can represent you. I'm honestly not sure how much help I can be. Well, there isn't a single attorney in Oranax that will represent me. So I'll accept whatever help I can get. Celeste was right. All of the attorneys are too afraid to stand against Lord von Sanctus. Where should we start, though? This case is probably different from the homicides that we're used to. Homicide or not, the case revolves around a wrongful death. If I did represent Dracogen, I would need to prove that he wasn't at fault for the accident. To do that, we should start by finding out exactly how and why the accident occurred. We should also question the witnesses who saw the victim when it happened. And it wouldn't hurt to take a look at the scene of the accident either. The Guildmaster would have a lot of knowledge about the refinery's operations. Questioning him might also give you some insight into what happened. Okay, so going to take a look at the refinery. It's a vat filled with chemicals that I can't quite identify. According to Celeste, these chemicals are used to refine and create arcane crystals. These metal stairs lead up to the walkway above. It's a power box. It contains artificery hardware and an arcane power cell. It's connected to the chemical vats, so it must control some function of the refinery.
Repario Arcanum.
Huh. These are traces of transmutation magic on this power box. It is an artificery device, so that's not too out of the ordinary. There are traces of transmutation magic on these parts of the vat. I'm honestly not quite sure how these vats even work. Perhaps transmutation magic is used in the refinement process somehow? To start, could you tell us exactly what happened? Well, it all began during the work rest yesterday evening. One of my employees fell from the walkway and into a vat of magical chemicals. Those chemicals contain extremely volatile and destructive evocation magic. Because of that, he unfortunately died before we could have pulled him out. I see. But that all just sounds like an unfortunate accident. Why is Lord Von Sanctus blaming you for what happened? There are guardrails on the walkways to prevent people from falling. Supposedly, those guardrails broke apart when that employee tried to lean against it. According to Von Sanctus, the accident was a direct result of my negligence to maintain the refinery. But my employees have taken great care to inspect and maintain the facilities. I have no idea how this happened. Is he telling the truth? This could all just be lip service. The only way to know for sure is to inspect the walkway yourself. Earlier, you said that the victim was an employee of yours. Could you tell us more about them? Yes, I hired him just a few months ago. It's a shame what happened to him. He was a young man named Justin Way. Was he a good employee? He was a hard worker, but he was a bit rough around the edges when he first started. Before working for me, I heard that he'd always spend his time with the local delinquents. Ms. Tudor practically begged me to hire him. She told me that she wanted to turn his life around. That does sound like something Rika would do. She always had a habit of getting involved in her friend's personal business. Musarika Tudor supposedly begged Stefanik Dracogen to hire Justin Way. She wanted Justin to turn his life around. Supposedly, he used to spend a lot of time with some local delinquents, but has turned his life around since then. When you live a life like Justin's, it helps when you have something to give you some structure and direction. So I decided to give the boy a chance by hiring him. Okay, so just basically presenting everybody. I've heard a lot about you and Ruby Timora through the grapevine. Ms. Tudor speaks very highly of you as well. Oh, it puts my mind at ease to know that I have your support. Alright, so we are going to go to the walkway and look at stuff. Tyrion, do you need me to scan for magical traces? Well, there aren't any magical elements in this case, but I suppose it wouldn't hurt to check. Alright.
Prepario Arcanum.
There are traces of evocation magic on the chemicals in these vats. That makes sense. Evocation is the school of magic for spells that create and disperse energy. These chemicals probably induce some sort of magical reaction to create arcane crystals. What? What's wrong? There are traces of transmutation all over the guardrails. Transmutation? Do you see those traces anywhere else on the walkway? No, it's only this area. There are magical traces of transmutation on the guardrail that Justin supposedly broke before falling. These traces are only on the rails that Justin broke. They aren't anywhere else on the walkway. Transmutation is a school of magic that changes the properties of physical objects. Usually, mages use transmutation spells to strengthen and repair objects. How did the transmutation spell affect the guardrail? Someone used a spell to change the physical properties of the guardrails. Judging by the current state of the rails, we can only conclude one thing. The spell weakened the structural integrity of the guardrails. Right, someone used a transmutation spell to weaken the guardrails. Afterwards, the guardrails were so weak that Justin accidentally broke them. And only these guardrails were weakened. The sabotaged rails are right next to this vat of corrosive chemicals, too. What was the intention of weakening the guardrails? There was a clear intention behind the actions of this unknown mage. Judging by what happened, that intention can only be one thing. The unknown mage wanted someone to fall into the vat. Whoever sabotaged the guardrail wanted someone to fall into the vat. Why else would they only target those specific guardrails? But why? Who would do this? You can feel your fist clenching tightly. Someone committed murder using magic here. And whoever did this had the gall to try and cover it up. Tyrion, you won't forgive whoever did this. When you're through with them, you will make them feel a fraction of the misery that your mother... Tyrion! What? Are you okay? Right. Sorry. Anyways, if it weren't for your detect magic, everyone would have written this off as an accident. Magical traces are only detectable for 48 hours after a mage casts a spell. That means that whoever cast the transmutation spell did so recently. Right. Okay, so it's been updated. A mage must have sabotaged the guardrail within the last 48 hours. They clearly intended for someone to break the rail and fall into the vat. Looks like the rails are completely rusted too. Was Dracogen lying about properly maintaining the site? It's a vat of dangerous magical chemicals. Supposedly, they're corrosive enough to dissolve anyone unfortunate enough to fall into it. Celeste is watching you carefully. She can be a little overprotective at times. Okay, we're going to go to the harbor. You arrive at the harbor in search of Morrison, the harbor master. However, you notice a large concentration of knights in the shipping area. Notably, the Arcane Inquisition is among them. You spot Commander White and Prosecutor Steelwind coordinating the knights there. I wonder what those two are doing here. The knights at the blockade said that they were investigating something. There must be magic involved if the Inquisition is here. Do you think this has anything to do with what happened to Justin? I doubt it. We didn't see any Inquisition knights at the refinery. It must just be a coincidence. You're probably right, but I'm kind of curious about what the Inquisition is investigating. It has nothing to do with our case. It'd be best to leave them to their business. Alright. Oi, you there! You'd best clear out. The knights have closed the harbor. Morrison? Huh? Do I I know you? Wait, Cuthbert, is that you? It's Noah Morrison, the harbor master. Hi. I heard from little Mosarika that you were back in town. What can I do for you? We heard that you were at the refinery yesterday. From what we heard, you witnessed the accident. We wanted to ask you some questions about what you saw. Oh, right. Mosarika mentioned that you're an attorney now. What? I just hope that you're still not hung up over that business with your mother. Sorry, I guess it's none of my business. Anyways, I'll tell you what I know. A row of houses line the edge of the harbor. When I was a kid, I always dreamed of saving up enough gold to buy my own house on the harbor front. Well, you have a job as an attorney now. You can always move back here. No, if possible, I never want to return to the city again. It's a modest ship. It's probably used by local businesses to transport goods by sea. I can't help but feel nostalgic seeing these ships. I used to travel by sea all the time when I was traveling the world. It was probably my favorite part. That does sound pretty nice. I'd like to try riding one day. Are you sure? You'll get motion sick pretty easy. Sailing on a ship might kill you. She has a point there. There are several crates containing all kinds of goods. They must be the merchandise of the local businesses.
Arcanum.
Okay, no magic. Let's talk. Dracogen told us that you witnessed the accident. Aye, it was a horrible thing what happened. No one deserved what happened to that poor lad. Could you tell us what you saw? Well, I was showing a patron around town, and for some reason he really wanted to take a look at the refinery. Something about checking out the local artificery. He must mean artificery. Anyways, he was looking at the machinery. Then suddenly Mosarika came running towards us. She was trying to tell us something. The damn machines were too loud for us to hear her. After a while, she just pointed at the walkway, and we saw the horrible sight. We saw someone fall into the vat. By the time we could get them to stop the machines, it was too late. That matches up with what you know so far. But what was Rika even doing there? She should have still been running the cafe at the time of the accident. And that patron who was visiting the factory, did they also witness the accident? Could you tell us how Justin fell off the walkway? Was it because the guardrail broke under his weight? Yeah, you did. But it was a little strange. That guardrail was made out of metal, yeah? But the way it broke, you would have thought it was made out of cardboard. He barely leaned on it, and it just broke apart. Even a poorly maintained guardrail shouldn't have broken that easy. Did someone really use transmutation magic to sabotage it? If so, that possibility could clear Dracogen's name. But presenting the possibility of a magical crime might just complicate things. You mentioned that you were escorting a patron when the accident happened. Who was he? Did he witness the accident too? Aye. He was right there with me when Rika was trying to get our attention. It'd be hard to miss it with the commotion she was making. As for who he was, he said his name was Aster. Aster? You don't know anyone by that name. But why does that name sound familiar? Do you know what his surname was? No, the lad was really secretive with his last name for some reason. He must have had a recognizable name. Is he a noble from a well-known house? Okay, so Morrison's testimony has been added. On the night of the accident, Mosarika Tudor frantically approached Nora Morrison and a man named Aster. She tried to tell them something, however they couldn't hear her over the noise produced by the refinery machines. They noticed that Mosarika was pointing at the walkway, so they looked there. There, they saw a figure lean on a guardrail and break it. The figure fell from the walkway and into the vat of corrosive chemicals. Why were you escorting this Aster in the first place? Don't you have to manage the harbor? Well, I can't really manage anything because of them. He gestures towards the Inquisition Knights crowding the pier. They've blocked all sea travel out of the city till this mess is sorted out. They have a lot of knights investigating the harbor. Do you know what they're looking for? Well, you didn't hear this from me. But according to them, Aster's ship just up and vanished in the dead of night. Vanished? As in someone hijacked it? That's the thing. The guards would have noticed if someone had driven off with the ship, especially one of that size. From what I heard, one of the guards could have sworn that they saw it vanish in a flash of light. A flash of light? Like something created by a spell. What kind of ship was it? Do you know how big it was? From the size of it, I'd say that it was probably a galleon. A galleon? A spell of that scale would have to be pretty powerful to affect a ship of that size. I wonder who this Aster person is. He must be high profile if they're calling in the Kingsguard and the Inquisition for him. All over a missing ship. You spent some time with him, am I correct, Morrison? Did he tell you where he was staying? Oh, I just realized it. Aster is the Crown Prince, as well as the future husband of Steelwind. Did he tell you where he was staying? If I remember right, he's staying at the local inn near the town square. Wait, that's the tavern we were staying at. If he's this high profile, why is he staying at an inn for commoners? No idea. He's an eccentric one for sure. Whoever he is, he also witnessed the accident. You'll definitely want to speak with him. And if he's a noble, there's a chance that he's the mage that sabotaged the guardrail. Alright, so we're going to go back to the tavern and see if we can move this Aster. Morrison said that Aster is staying in one of the rooms at this tavern. But which room is it? We could always just check each room. That might irritate the patrons, though. And if Aster doesn't want to be found, we might alert him if we annoy too many people. I guess you're right. Your family owns a tavern, right? If you had to put a VIP somewhere, which room would you choose? I guess it would probably be the one at the end of the hallway. That's the one I use at my family's tavern. According to Celeste's intuition, the innkeeper would have probably given Aster this room. You approach the door and firmly knock on it. Hello? Someone does come to answer the door. They only open the door a fraction of the way. The crack in the door is less than an inch wide. You can't get a look at the person's face. I'm terribly sorry, but if your business isn't urgent, I'd like to be left alone. Sorry if I'm intruding, but are you Aster? My name is Tyrion Cuthbert. I'm the defense attorney of Stefanik Dracogen. From what I've heard, you witnessed the accident at the refinery yesterday. I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions about what you saw. Upon hearing your name, the man fully opens the door, and you're finally able to get a good look at him. He definitely stands out from the other patrons of the inn. He must be the wealthy patron that you're looking for. Tyrion Cuthbert, the protege of the infamous Ruby Timora. So, you know who I am. I do. I know you very well. I'm your biggest fan! What? I can't believe it. The infamous Tyrion Cuthbert is standing right in front of my tavern room. What? I've read all about your feats, Mr. Cuthbert. You successfully indicted the head of House Pierce. You didn't think twice about confronting a member of House Freyga. And you even defeated Lord Von Sanctus in a chess tournament yesterday. I'm so lost right now. And you must be Celeste McCoy, Tyrion's first client and the Crimson Demon of the Eastern Kingdoms. How did you find out about that name? The Crimson what? Ugh, don't ask. Anyways, if you are Aster, does that mean that you witnessed the accident with the Harbor Master yesterday? Yes, I did. Are you going to interrogate me about what I saw? I'll answer whatever questions you have. You've never met a witness that has been this eager to cooperate. But hopefully this means that he won't hide any details about what he saw.
Repario Arcanum.
You clearly know who I am, but I'm still unsure of who you are, Aster. Ah, my apologies. But I would prefer to keep my full identity hidden for now. He's within his right to do so, but you can't help but feel a little suspicious. In any case, what is your business in Oranax? I was accompanying a ship transporting goods to Lord Von Sanctus. The same ship that was magically stolen? I'm surprised you found out about that. The Kingsguard have been trying their best to keep that information hidden. But I suppose I shouldn't expect anything less from you, Mr. Cuthbert. Flattery will get him nowhere. What was on that ship? It must be pretty valuable to be worth stealing. Ah, I doubt there was anything on that ship worth drawing the ire of the entire kingdom. The truth is, during the time that my ship was stolen, I was supposed to be on it. I see. The theft of the ship might have actually been an attempt to kidnap you. That's my current theory anyway. It wouldn't make sense otherwise. He seems awfully calm about this. According to Morrison, you were also in the refinery that night. Did you witness the moment the victim fell into the vat? I did. Could you tell us exactly what you saw? Every detail you can remember could be important. Well, it all began when I was visiting the refinery with the harbor master. I was inspecting the refinery's machines when a girl frantically ran towards us. She was hysterical. It looked like she was trying to tell us something, but we couldn't hear her over the noise in the machines. When she realized that we couldn't hear her, she simply pointed at the walkway. That's when we saw Justin Way fell off of it and into a vat. This next question is very important. Did you see the victim break the guardrail by leaning on it? Yes. He broke the guardrail before he fell. His testimony matches exactly with what Morrison saw. So Astor and Morrison's testimony have been updated in your notes. The way he fell was very strange, though. Strange? What could he mean by that? You mentioned the way the victim fell was strange. Did you feel like the guardrail broke too easily? Why, yes. How did you know? It matches with the statement that the harbor master gave us. You don't want to reveal the traces of transmutation that you found on the walkway. At least not yet. But yes, the guardrail broke the moment that Justin leaned on it. And his body was extremely limp when falling too. His body was limp? Normally when falling from a great height, one would flail their arms, yes? But when I saw him falling, he wasn't moving at all. He wasn't moving? Did you see the expression on his face? He might have been unconscious. I'm afraid I couldn't see anything on his face. It was much too dark to make out his features. Wait, you didn't actually see his face? How did you know it was actually him that fell in? Well, who else could it have been? No one else has been reported missing. They also found the remnants of Justin's body in the vat. It was definitely him that fell in. That's true. You don't have much reason to believe that Justin might still be alive. There were traces of transmutation magic at the crime scene, and it appears that Astor is quite a high-profile individual. He's probably a mage, and aside from Rika, he was probably the only other mage at the refinery that night. If you ask him outright, you might be able to see something incriminating through the Eye of Horus. Astor, we'll respect your privacy if you don't want to tell us who you are, but could you at least answer one question for me? I can make no promises, but I'll do my best to tell you what I can. Are you a mage? Oh, is that all? Yes, I am a mage, and I'm quite the practiced one at that. You see, Celeste cast Detect Magic to look at the scene of the accident, and we found traces of transmutation magic at the crime scene. Namely, on the guardrails that Justin fell through. What? Here it is. I can't believe it! What? Are you telling me that a mage used transmutation magic to weaken the rails? It's a conspiracy. Wait, does that mean this was actually a murder made to look like an accident? It's like something out of the reports I read about him. You don't see anything incriminating, and you can see his thoughts clearly. His feelings of happiness are a bit off-putting, though. And you asked me if I was a mage? Does that mean that I'm a potential suspect? This is the greatest thing to ever happen to me! This is the first time you've met somebody that's happy to be suspected of murder. Sorry, it's not right of me to get so excited about something this serious. He must think less of me now. But it's like something right out of a mystery novel! That's not the reaction you were expecting. Nevertheless, it doesn't look like there are any incriminating thoughts in his mind. And the emotions that he was emanating were all positive. There wasn't a drop of fear in there. What could this mean? It means you have a fanboy! Either way, it looks like you've found out everything you can from Astor. You should move somewhere else. Okay, we're going to the town square. It doesn't look like there's anywhere else we can go, so I think we're going to head back to Mosarika's cafe. Tyrion, you're back! Did you talk to Mr. Dracogen? I did. I'm still not sure what to make of him just yet. But after what I've seen today, I don't think I can turn a blind eye to what's happening. There were traces of transmutation magic on the guardrails. Regardless of their motives, someone sabotaged those rails with the intent of harming an employee at the refinery. If this truly was a murder, you have to find out who did this and why. I'll represent him in court for the criminal case. Thanks! It really means a lot to me. On that note, you were at the refinery when the accident occurred, am I correct? Yes, I was. May I ask you a few questions about what you saw that day? Of course! I'll do whatever I can to help. By the way, why were you at the refinery that day? Didn't you have to work at the cafe? I was making a food delivery to Justin. Wait, you were delivering food to the victim? Yeah, he never had the time to make his own dinner. So I always delivered his dinner during his evening break. But that night, I couldn't find him in the freight area. So I went looking for him in the refinery building. So the accident happened while you were delivering his food. Mosarika Tudor was delivering food to Justin Way during the time of the accident. Justin apparently never had time to make food for himself, so she delivered his dinner to him every day. Mosarika didn't find Justin in the freight area that day, so she went looking for him and spotted him in the refinery building before he fell. Did you talk to... Excuse me. Did you talk to Justin at all before the accident? I did. When I finally found him in the refinery building, he seemed busy. He told me to leave his food in the break room. He was busy, but according to Dracogen, he should have never been in the refinery building in the first place. Did he say what he was busy with? He said that he had a meeting scheduled with Mr. Dracogen. That can't be true, though. Dracogen didn't mention anything about this. Unless... Mosarika Tudor briefly interacted with Justin Way before the accident. Justin supposedly told her that he was on his way to a scheduled meeting with Stefanik Dracogen, but Dracogen never mentioned this meeting. We've gotten a few witness accounts already, but I just wanted to double check. What did you see during the accident? Sorry, I'm sure that it was a disturbing sight. Do you need to take a moment? No, it's okay. It happened after Justin told me to leave his food in the break room. It was my first time inside the refinery, so I spent some time looking at all of the machines. That's when I suddenly heard a strange sound from the walkway. When I looked to see what it was, I saw Justin fall from there. I tried to find someone to help him, but no one could hear me because of how loud the machines were. Before I finally got them to understand what happened, it was already too late. Did you see the guardrail break when Justin fell off of the walkway? More specifically, did it break from Justin's weight? I'm honestly not sure. I was too busy trying to find help. On the night of the accident, Mosarika Tudor saw Justin Way fall off of the walkway. After seeing him fall, she tried to get the attention of Aster and Noah Morrison, but they couldn't understand her because of how loud the refinery machines were. You have matching witness accounts from Aster and Morrison. They saw the guardrail break. Having Rika also confirm that would have been helpful, but you suppose Aster and Morrison's statements will have to suffice. Rika's account of what happened is a lot less detailed than Aster and Morrison's, but she did see Justin before the accident. You still have no idea why Justin was on that walkway in the first place. According to Rika, he said that he had a meeting scheduled with Dracogen. But this doesn't match with what Dracogen told you. Either Justin or Dracogen must be lying in that case. You've met Dracogen already, but you still have no idea what kind of person Justin is. Perhaps Rika can tell you more. Could you tell us more about the victim? What kind of person was he? He was a good person. He fell in with a bad crowd a few years ago, but he was starting to turn his life around. I saw how much he was trying to change, so I asked Mr. Dracogen to give him a job. I really wanted to help him change his life for the better. But this job ended up killing him. You can't blame yourself for this. No one could have known that this would happen. I guess you're right. It's hard not to think about that. Was he the type of person to go places that he wasn't supposed to be? No, not anymore. Not anymore? He really wanted to make a good impression on Mr. Dracogen. He always talked about following the rules. He even got mad at me a few times when I accidentally broke Dracogen's protocols. Right, that matches up with what Dracogen said. but maybe he was falling back into his old habits. Perhaps Rika can tell you more about what he was like before he turned his life around. You mentioned that Justin fell in with a bad crowd before. I've also heard that he used to hang out with a band of local delinquents. Could you tell us more about them? What? Rika, this information will help us with our investigation. I need to speak with the other people who knew him. Do you know where I could find his delinquent friends? I'm sorry, I really didn't know him that well. I should keep quiet, it might make him mad. Rika, are you hiding something from me? What? Of course not! What would the Dark Lord of Oranax possibly have to hide from you? Yeah, she is definitely hiding something. You'll need to argue against her if you want the truth. I'm terribly sorry for what happened to Justin. Are you doing okay? Yeah, it's difficult to think about sometimes. You always hear about these things happening, but you never expect them to happen to people you know. But have no fear. It will take more than this to bring down the High Archmagi. She has reverted back to her Chuni personality. Mosarika Tudor's psychological profile is complete. Alright, let's have an argument! Mosarika Tudor appears to be hiding something from you. She clearly knows about the bad crowd that Justin fell in with, but she's hiding who they are and where you can find them. You'll need to convince her to share that information with you. Rika, you know about Justin's friends, don't you? Psychological profile. Mosarika Tudor will perform questionable acts to protect the people she cares about. She has your best interests at heart, and will always act in a way that she thinks is beneficial for your well-being. She isn't very good at deception. She will often revert to her dramatic Chuni personality when trying to hide the truth from you. Just be honest with me. I'm not hiding anything. I really don't know that much about him. I wasn't that close to Justin Way. I may have delivered his food, but he was just a customer to me. I might have believed that you delivered his food because he was a good customer. But that wasn't all you did for him. You saw that he was trying to turn his life around. And you begged Dracogen to set him up with a job. You wouldn't do that for a customer that you barely knew. Well, that still proves nothing. I am Mosarika Tudor, High Archmage of the Cadmium Flame. Is it so hard to believe that I took pity on a stranger? I only helped him because I'm a generous person. It would only be right for me to equip a commoner with the means to change his life. You said earlier that he was a good person, and that he fell in with a bad crowd. How could you possibly know that if you didn't know him well? There are plenty of people who would have said that about him. He didn't exactly keep it secret. I only knew about him because of rumors that were floating around town. That does make sense. Could she be telling the truth? No. When you read her thoughts earlier, you could tell that she was hiding something. She has to be blah. I can't. You are a generous person, Rika. And that type of generosity would make you privy to details of Justin's life. I doubt that he'd continue to hide his past from you after you'd done so much for him. You would have known who he associated with. Tyrion, not everyone wants to share their past with the people close to them. You should know that better than anyone. She's got you there. You're not a good liar, Rika. You would have risked a lot by asking Dracogen to hire a stranger, especially a stranger with a dubious past like Justin. What if Justin fell back into his old ways? That would have surely brought about consequences on you and your business. You wouldn't take a risk like that unless you knew him well enough to trust him. Okay, fine. I guess we were friends. But like I said before, he was trying to leave his old life behind. He always kept his past a secret from me. He didn't like talking about the person he was back then. He wanted to forget about it, and I never brought it up. It's sort of true. We knew each other for years before he told me about it. I doubt that, Rika. In fact, I'm sure that you were friends for at least a few years. With a friendship that old, I'm sure he would have confided in you about his past. What? No, you need to stay focused. Rika, I don't know why you thought you had to lie about this, but I need to talk to Justin's former friends. Is that really necessary? Yes, I need to know why he was behaving so strangely before the accident. His friends might know something about him that you and Dracogen don't. But that doesn't make any sense. There wasn't anything strange about the way he was acting. I think you're just overthinking this, Tyrion. You didn't want to overplay your hand before, but it looks like you don't have a choice now. Rika, Justin told you that he was heading to a scheduled meeting in Dracogen's office. But according to Dracogen, Justin wasn't even supposed to be in the refinery building yesterday. What? Rika, Justin might have lied to you. No, he would never do that. I need to know why he was up there. And so far, the statements that I've gotten from you and Dracogen don't explain that. I need to talk to people who might know things about him that you don't. Alright, we won that argument. Okay. I'll tell you where you can find them. Just promise me that you'll be safe, okay? You've successfully persuaded Mosarika Tudor. Sorry, I wasn't trying to lie to you. It's okay. I'm assuming you had your reasons. But I need to know where I can find Justin's old friends. You probably know already, but a few years ago, Justin got involved with a local street gang. They'd always hang out around the beach area, but one day they discovered an abandoned house along the coastline. And they started spending most of their time there. A lone house on the coastline. It's that house, Tyrion. That's probably where you'll find Justin's old friends. So, that's why you were being so secretive. Ooh, it's Tyrion's old home. What? I'm sorry. Don't be. You were just trying to look out for me, right? Are you going to be okay? I can go there with you if you'd like. No, it's okay. I'm sure you're busy with the cafe right now. And it's not as if I'll be going alone. Alright. Just don't push yourself too hard, okay? Yeah. Huh? Okay, so we're gonna move to the abandoned house. You arrive at the old abandoned house. Upon looking at the home that you left behind, you're struck with a flood of memories. Those memories were once happy, but now they only fill you with grief. Tyrion, are you okay? Yeah, let's look around. You wipe your eyes and begin looking around the house. Suddenly you hear the sound of glass breaking. You rush to look for the source and see two young teenagers throwing rocks at the side of the house. The shattered remains of a window are lying on the ground. Ha! Nice shot, Gavin! Gavin Kraylin. One of the teens, apparently named Gavin, notices you approaching. We've got company, Wyatt. Huh? Oh my god, he looks like a dollar store JoJo character. Wyatt Ernell. You stare blankly at the broken glass lying on the ground. You're at a loss for words. You feel like you should respond, but nothing comes out of your mouth. You suddenly find yourself quickly approaching the two teens. Eh? What the hell do you want? Ah! What the hell? Before you even realized what you were doing, you threw a punch straight into Gavin's face. Your eyes are slowly tearing up. You can only see red. You grab Gavin by the collar and pull his face close to yours. Get the hell away from my house. Tyrion? Oh, you want to go? Ha! If you came looking for trouble, you sure found it. Okay, let's all calm down and just stay out of this, you little shit. Oh, snap. That is the smile of somebody who is about to unleash a can of whoop-ass. Excuse me? What? You got cotton in your ears or something? Yes, actually. Why don't you go and repeat what you said? I said, stay out of this. You little shit. 5 minutes later. Celeste? Yes? I'm sorry for losing my temper back there. I didn't mean to drag you into this. It's okay. Our emotions get the better of us sometimes. Celeste? Yes? I think you might have overdone it a bit. No. Celeste? Yes? I don't think he's breathing. Come on, just give him a second. You suddenly hear the very bruised and broken form of Gavin sputtering and wheezing on the ground. It looks like he's finally regained consciousness. See? He's perfectly fine. You're fine. Wyatt is staring wide-eyed at Celeste. From the shaking of his legs, it looks like he wants to run away, but he's too frozen by fear to move. Don't bother running. Even with a head start, I can easily catch up to you. Beep. Anyways, these two are probably Justin's former delinquent friends, right? Are you okay with talking to them? Yes, of course. With your emotions in such disarray, you completely forgot why you came here in the first place. Would you two happen to know the young man who died at the refinery yesterday? These guys are after Justin, but he's already dead. After Justin? Was there someone with a grudge against him? Wyatt clearly thinks that you were sent on someone's behalf. It wouldn't hurt to play the part to get more information out of him. We're not going to hurt you. We're not going to hurt you anymore. We'd just like to ask you a few questions about Justin. Yeah, sure, man. Whatever you want. Alright, you two talk. I'll work on popping Gavin's shoulder back into place. It's a little disturbing how nonchalantly she says things like that. Returning to this house has brought back several memories that you have complicated feelings for. These feelings are even more confounded by the blatant vandalism committed by Gavin and Wyatt. Honestly, you'd rather leave this place as soon as possible. The view of the sea is just as you remember it. It's probably the only thing that hasn't changed since you left Oranax. Several weeds and plant life have grown since you were last here. It doesn't look like anyone has taken care of the yard for the last few years. But you suppose it's more your fault than anyone else's.
Arcanum.
Okay, no magic. What can you tell me about Justin Way? According to a few witnesses we spoke to, you used to be friends. Friends is kind of pushing it. We used to hang back in the day, but we don't know more. It was weird when he started talking to us again. I thought he left for good. But he started talking to you again. Why? He just needed some of the old gear that he left at the house. Old gear? What kind of old gear? You know, his thieves' tools. All the tools you need for lockpicking and safe cracking. Tools for lockpicking and safe cracking? Why would Justin need those? What would Justin need lockpicking and safe cracking tools for? Well, he needed to get the gold that he owed your boss. So he owed gold to someone. Word has it that he was working for the merchant that owns the refinery. I guess the owner trusted him a lot. Justin said that he had a way to get access to the safe in the guy's office. Justin was always a whiz when it came to breaking and entering. He even had tools that could crack magical locks. Getting the gold out of that safe would have been an easy score for him. Wait, Justin was planning to rob Dracogen? According to Wyatt Ernell, Justin Way owed gold to someone. Justin owned a set of lockpicking and safe-cracking tools that could disable mundane and magical locks. He was planning to break into the refinery building, then use his safe-cracking skills to rob the safe in Dracogen's office. Wyatt apparently thinks that you were sent on behalf of someone. And from what he's said so far, Justin owed a non-trivial amount of gold to this person. If this person was some kind of criminal, could they have been the one who sabotaged the guardrail? Did Justin tell you who he owed his debt to? Yeah, man, he didn't say nothing. They might whack me too if I tell them the truth. So he does know. There's no point in playing dumb. Just tell us what he told you. Did he give you a name? Answer the question. The Eye Taker! He owed gold to the Eye Taker! The Eye Taker? Justin Way supposedly owed a non-trivial amount of gold to an individual named the Eye Taker. Perhaps one of the citizens of Oranax can tell you more about this person. The Eye Taker. That must be some kind of criminal nickname. Why does that sound so familiar, though? Either way, you need to find out who this Eye Taker is. It might be best to ask someone else. What can you tell me about this? Sorry, man, I don't know nothing about that. Okay, so let's see. Alright, so we gotta figure out who this Eye Taker is. Hey, Tyrion? Yeah? Back at the house? What was that all about? I've never seen you get that angry before. And you said that it was your house. Yeah, it was my house. It was? Ever since we arrived in the city, you haven't really been yourself. If you want to talk about it, I'm fine. And I don't want to talk about it. You're not fine. I can see it on your face. Please, just talk to me. It's none of your business. That came out a lot louder than you wanted it to. Celeste, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Without a word, she quickly walks ahead of you. Rika, do you know a criminal named the Eye Taker? The Eye Taker. I can't say that I've heard of them. Are you in conflict with this villain? Do they seek to steal the Eye of Horus from you? No, not exactly. At least you hope not. Either way, it looks like Rika doesn't know who the Eye Taker is. You should try asking someone else. Okay, so we're going to try the harbor. And we will talk to Morrison. Do you know about a criminal named the Eye Taker? The Eye Taker? Where did you hear that name? So you do know about them. Aye, I do. I've learned to keep my distance from him over the years. The Eye Taker is the criminal kingpin of this region. Every large criminal undertaking in this region happens under his watch. He's that big of a deal? Of course he is! More importantly, how did you hear about him? From what I heard, Justin Way owed him a huge debt. Justin owed them? I knew he used to run around with a bunch of rogues, but I never imagined... By the Scaled Lord. The Eye Taker might be involved in Justin's death. Do you think someone like him could be behind this? Well, there's a saying we have about what happens when you get on his bad side. Let's just say he reminds you of why he has that name. So, you know who the Eye Taker is now. It definitely adds another angle to this case. But there are still some elements of this that don't make sense. You need to take some time to work through it all. But you should go talk to Dracogen first. He'll want to see everything that you found. Okay, we're gonna go back to Oranax and talk to Dracogen. Hello, Mr. Cuthbert. I trust you're doing well? We are, for the most part. We've spent some time looking into the accident and the people who knew Justin. I think there might be some more to this case than meets the eye. Oh? You spent some time explaining your findings to Dracogen. He seems troubled when you explain the traces of transmutation that you found on the guardrail. He's even more taken aback when you mention Justin's supposed plan to rob him. This is quite a lot to take in. Are you missing any valuables in your safe right now? No, actually, but what is it? After the accident, I did a careful inspection of the building. When I checked my office, I noticed that the lock on the safe was disengaged. The safe was opened, but you said that there wasn't anything missing. That's right. When I saw the safe open like that, I was already worried that I'd been robbed. But I double-checked the contents. Everything was accounted for. Because of that, I just assumed I'd forgotten to lock it. This doesn't make any sense. Maybe it was just a coincidence? I might believe that if it weren't for where my office is located. What do you mean? The walkway that Justin fell from leads to my office. There's a window there that overlooks the refinery. That would explain why Justin was there in the first place. I don't want to suspect one of my employees, especially one that isn't alive to defend himself from such accusations. But it just all fits too perfectly together, except for one thing. Why wasn't anything stolen? Well, regardless, I think you have a pretty good case. So, does this mean you'll represent me? After what I've discovered, I won't just stand by and let Von Sanctus have his way. Well spoken. I'm glad to have you on my side, Mr. Cuthbert. Anyways, regardless of why, someone clearly magically tampered with the site of the accident. I doubt the court will find you at fault for what happened. Although, what's wrong? Civil cases are a lot less strict than criminal cases. If we present evidence suggesting foul play using magic, they'll treat this exactly like our other cases. Yeah, they might stall the trial until they find out what exactly happened. For this accident, all we have to go on is witness accounts. Finding concrete evidence of what happened could very well be impossible. But the idea of hunting down the mage responsible sounds very tempting. It looks like you have your work cut out for you. I just hope things turned out okay in the end. And with Von Sanctus on the other side of this, who knows what might happen. It'd be best to keep your wits about you. Okay, I am going to save here. And we are going to end things off for the evening. I'm beginning to lose my voice, so it is a good time to do so. So let us check to see who is streaming right now. We can give them a raid. Okay, let us see. Let's see. Who is raiding? Let's see. Alright, we are going to raid Shellshock Prime. Oops. Okay, everybody, we're going to be raiding Shellshock Prime. He is playing some retro games tonight, so that is going to be all for tonight, and we are going to hopefully stream again on Saturday night, and we will be doing some more Model Debut Nicola 3. And until then, this has been Jewelry Jelly with Catherine and George Washing Machine. And until we meet again, may all of your tea times be perfect.